throw out every piece of self-improvement advice you have ever heard about building the perfect, unbreakable daily routine.
Yeah, just completely toss it.
Because you know exactly the kind of like hustle culture dogma I am talking about here.
Oh, absolutely. The influencers.
Right. The influencers who stare into the camera and tell you that to be successful, you must wake up at exactly 5 a.m., drink a room temperature glass of lemon water.
Oh, it was lemon water.
Always. You have to meditate for 20 minutes and then hit the gym every single day at exactly 6 p.m. No excuses, no days off. If you break the streak, you are just weak.
It is exhausting just thinking about it.
Yeah.
And I mean, from a behavioral science perspective, it is a massive setup for failure.
I want to aggressively attack this idea right out of the gate today because the data proves it is completely fundamentally backward.
It really is.
We are looking at a massive experiment conducted at Google, which is outlined in Katy Milkman's book, How to Change. We are talking about over 2,500 employees participating in a highly controlled gym habit study.
Yeah, the researchers wanted to solve a very specific problem, like what kind of routine actually creates a habit that survives the chaos of real life.
Right, because real life is messy.
Exactly. So they took these Google employees and essentially divided them into two distinct camps based on how they were incentivized.
Okay.
You have a group we can call the routine Rachels.
Routine Rachels.
Right. These are the folks who were financially rewarded to exercise at the exact same time every single day.
Okay.
And you have the flexible Fernandos. They were also rewarded to work out, but they could do it at literally any time that fit their unpredictable schedules.
Okay, so if we listen to popular advice, the expectation is that the routine Rachels are going to just crush this.
Oh, sure.
Because the logic is that you drill the habit into the exact same time slot until it becomes like neurological muscle memory.
Right, that's what we're taught.
But the data revealed the shocking fragility of rigidity. The routine Rachels built habits that only functioned under absolutely perfect laboratory conditions.
Literally perfect conditions.
Yeah. The moment a project ran late or traffic was bad or, their kid got sick, they became rigid Rachels. They just skipped the workout entirely.
Which highlights a fundamental misunderstanding of human psychology, honestly. We mistakenly equate consistency of timing with consistency of action. But in the real world, rigid timing makes your habit incredibly brittle. The flexible Fernandos actually built a much stickier, more robust habit over the long haul.
Because they had options.
Right. Because they were not tied to a specific hour, they had essentially practiced the art of rolling with the punches.
Oh, I see.
If they missed a morning session, their brain didn't register it as a failure. It just registered it as a postponement to the evening. They learned how to adapt to varied circumstances.
It reminds me of the research from Wharton's Marissa Sharif on the mulligan concept.
Oh, yes. The mulligan is great.
She ran this fascinating study where people were tasked with completing these somewhat annoying online tasks for a week. One group was forced to do the task every single day, no breaks allowed. Another group, the mulligan group, was given a goal of working every day, but they were allowed 2 deliberate emergency passes or cheat days for the week.
And the results on that are wild.
Crazy. 53% of the mulligan group hit their goal, compared to a miserable 21% of the rigid group.
Yeah, that mulligan is acting as a psychological safety net.
Right.
It prevents a single slip-up from triggering a total behavioral collapse. Behavioral economists actually call this the what the hell effect.
I love that name so much.
It is very literal. It describes the cognitive dissonance your brain experiences when you break a rigid rule.
Okay, walk me through that.
So if you identify as a person who works out every day at 6 p.m. and you miss one workout, your brain hates holding two conflicting realities.
It's like a glitch.
Yes. To resolve the psychological stress, your brain just throws in the towel. You say, what the hell, my streak is broken, and you abandon the entire fitness goal. You eat a whole pizza instead. So
why are our brains so obsessed with perfect, unbroken streaks when the math of human behavior clearly proves that, over-optimization makes us incredibly fragile?
That's a great question.
It is like learning to drive a car exclusively in an empty parking lot. You feel totally in control. You think you have completely mastered the machine.
Until you leave the parking lot.
Right. Right up until the second you hit actual, unpredictable highway traffic. And then you immediately crash because you haven't trained for reality. You only train for a vacuum.
That is the perfect way to look at it. We have to train for the messy reality of the environment we actually live in.
You're listening to Deep Cuts and Deep Thinking. In this deep dive, our mission is to explore the fascinating, completely counterintuitive science of human behavior and how we can actually achieve our goals.
And we are using the incredible insights found in Katy Milkman's book, How to Change.
Exactly. We are dissecting the author's research to find the most practical, memorable takeaways you can actually apply to the chaos of your own life.
And since we just established that rigid routines are a trap, we have to look at why we constantly fall for them year after year, particularly right around New Year's Day.
Oh man, the ultimate January 1st delusion.
Okay.
I buy a new planner, I buy new running shoes, and I am convinced I am a new person. Why do we do this to ourselves?
It comes down to a psychological phenomenon known as the fresh start effect.
The fresh start effect.
Yeah. We do not view time as a continuous, unbroken line. Humans view their lives in episodes or chapters.
Okay, like seasons of a TV show.
Exactly. The college years, the era when you lived in a specific city, turning 40, getting married, a new year or a new job offers a clean slate. It psychologically distances us from our past failures.
So my brain is essentially telling me, last year's version of you was a total mess who couldn't stick to a budget, but this year's version of you is a totally different financially responsible entity.
Precisely. It severs the identity tie to the person who failed.
Wow. It is like clearing the cache on a really sluggish web browser. Suddenly, all that old, clunky, corrupted data is just gone. Everything feels incredibly fast and possible again.
Right. And this doesn't just work on a personal level. It works on a massive societal scale. Katy Milkman highlights the public health Back to Sleep campaign for sudden infant death syndrome.
Oh, right. I remember reading about that. That was huge.
The greatest, most effective public health victories in modern history.
They managed to quadruple back sleeping rates for infants, hitting 73%. But the reason it worked so brilliantly is because it hit parents at the exact moment their entire life was undergoing a massive chaotic transition.
Bringing a newborn home is the ultimate fresh start.
Completely. It wiped out whatever old generational habits or advice their own parents had given them because their daily environment was completely new. The slate was completely blank.
The environment was entirely disrupted, making them highly receptive to new behaviors. But, this raises a very tricky question about disruptions.
Right, because my immediate thought is, if fresh starts are so powerful at changing behavior, shouldn't every life disruption make us better?
You'd think so.
Like if I move to a new apartment or change departments at work, shouldn't that major change automatically improve my performance across the board?
You would naturally assume that a clean slate is always a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
But we have to look at Hank Shindai's incredible research on Major League Baseball to see the dark side of the fresh start. In baseball, when a player is traded across leagues, say from the American League to the National League, their season statistics are completely wiped clean. It is a literal fresh start on paper.
I would assume getting traded and resetting your stats is fantastic because you have no baggage, the pressure is off, everyone should play better, right?
Well, for underperformers, yes.
Okay.
The fresh start is a massive blessing. It wipes away their terrible batting average, removes the psychological weight of failure, and actually boosts their subsequent performance.
Makes sense.
But for top performers, the players who are already on a massive hot streak, the reset actively hurts them.
Because it kills their momentum.
Exactly. It takes their recent hard-earned successes, throws them in the rearview mirror, and forces them to rebuild their confidence from scratch. Their performance actually drops after the trade.
Wow. Okay, so the core takeaway for everyone listening is that a fresh start is a powerful, calculated tool to begin a flexible habit when you are struggling.
Yes.
But you have to be incredibly careful about using it to disrupt routines that are already working for you. Do not clear the cache if the browser is running perfectly.
Hold on to your momentum if you have it. Now, assuming you are in a slump and you have used a fresh start wisely to begin a new flexible routine, you still face a massive hurdle.
Which is?
You have to actually execute the difficult task on a random Tuesday when your motivation is zero.
The dreaded random Tuesday.
This is where willpower usually fails us, due to an evolutionary mechanism behavioral scientists call present bias.
Right, because our ancestors didn't plan for retirement.
They did not.
They ate the berries immediately before a predator got them. We are biologically wired to favor instantly gratifying temptations over larger long-term rewards.
We want the dopamine right now.
Which means if we want to do something difficult, we have to engineer the fun. We need the Mary Poppins approach.
A spoonful of sugar.
Exactly. A spoonful of sugar helps the medicine go down. There is this amazing real-world example from Stockholm, Sweden, at the Odenplan metro station.
Oh, the stairs.
Yes. City technicians wanted to get more commuters to take the stairs instead of the escalator for cardiovascular health. So overnight, they turned the staircase into giant working piano keys. Every single step played a corresponding musical note.
I love that study. And the result was immediate. 66% more people actively chose the physical exertion of the stairs over the lazy escalator.
It's fun.
It is a brilliant illustration of making the right choice instantly gratifying. You don't have to wait 30 years to avoid heart disease. You get to play a fun song right now. Katy Milkman calls a highly effective version of this temptation bundling. She ran a study at a university gym where students were loaned iPods, preloaded with highly addictive cliffhanger audiobooks like The Hunger Games.
Whoa, I love the catch here.
Yeah, the catch was that the iPods were physically locked in the gym lockers. The students could only listen to the story, they could only find out what happens next while they were physically sweating on a treadmill.
So you want to know if Katniss survives, you have to do a 5K.
Exactly. And it boosted gym attendance by 55% for 7 whole weeks. They bundled a massive temptation with a chore, effectively neutralizing present bias by making the gym the only place to get the reward.
Okay, I see how that works for physical labor, but I am going to push back here on behalf of the listener.
Fair enough.
What if the difficult task is highly cognitive? If I am a working adult trying to write a complex quarterly financial report, or, a student studying for an intense calculus exam, I cannot listen to a gripping audiobook while I do it. My brain can't process 2 streams of complex information. How do you bundle temptation then?
That is where gamification comes into play.
Yeah.
You have to make the cognitive task itself feel like a game.
Okay, how?
Well, there was a fascinating study involving Wikipedia. They were bleeding volunteer editors and struggling to retain people to do this highly cognitive, tedious work.
Editing articles is a lot of work.
A ton of work.
Yeah.
Researcher Janet Gallis ran an experiment where some new editors received digital stars for good work, which were displayed on their public profile. Just that simple symbolic reward boosted retention by 20%.
Wait, a digital star?
Yeah.
I am a grown adult. Why would a digital gold star trick my brain into having fun while doing tedious data entry? It sounds almost childish.
It sounds childish until you understand the psychology of status and community recognition.
Yeah.
Gamification isn't just about flashing lights and points. It taps into our deep human need for progress tracking and social standing. That digital star on Wikipedia signaled to the entire community that this editor was valuable. It provided immediate, visible evidence of competence.
But didn't Katy Milkman's book also issue a massive warning about gamification going horribly wrong, like a mandatory corporate front?
Yes, and this is crucial. Gamification only works if the user voluntarily buys in to the magic circle of the game.
The magic circle.
Right. The author details a study involving salespeople whose managers forced them to play a basketball-themed sales game to boost numbers.
I can already tell this is going to be terrible.
It was. If the employees felt the game was silly, condescending, or forced upon them by management, their performance actually declined compared to those who didn't play. Forced fun is a productivity killer because it removes autonomy.
Okay, so we've tried temptation bundling. We've tried voluntary gamification. What happens when the task is so profoundly miserable or the temptation to quit is so overwhelming that no amount of digital stars or audiobooks is going to save us? When our motivation completely flatlines?
When motivation completely fails, we have to rely on self-imposed restriction. We have to lock our future selves out of the bad decision.
Okay, this is where I have to bring up the Green Bank study in the Philippines because it completely bewildered me.
It's so counterintuitive.
According to all basic economic theory, human beings are rational actors who want maximum freedom and maximum options with their money. Why on earth would bank customers voluntarily put their hard-earned cash into a locked account that strictly forbids withdrawals until a certain date, especially when the bank wasn't paying them a single penny of a premium interest rate for doing it?
Yeah.
It makes absolutely zero logical sense.
It makes no traditional economic sense, but it makes perfect psychological sense once you understand the internal battle between the sophisticate and the naive.
Break this down for me.
Okay, so a naive is someone who genuinely believes they have enough willpower to resist future temptation. They think, I will definitely save this money, I won't buy that new television.
Delusional.
Exactly. A sophisticate, however, possesses profound self-awareness. They know their future self is going to be weak, tired, emotional, and impulsive. So the sophisticate builds what behavioral scientists call a commitment device.
Oh, it's like installing a breathalyzer on your car's ignition. You are physically removing your own ability to make a bad choice in the future when your judgment is compromised.
Exactly. You are structurally changing the environment. At Green Bank, when offered this locked account, 28% of customers recognized their own weakness and chose it. And by locking their own money away from their future impulsive selves, they saw an 81% increase in their total savings.
81%. They knew they would spend it on impulse, so they voluntarily handed over the key. Katy Milkman brings in Dan Ariely MIT study for even more proof on this, and it is so relatable. He gave some of the smartest graduate students in the world a choice for their semester papers.
Such a great study.
Right. Option A, turn all your papers in on the last day of class for maximum flexibility. Option B, voluntarily set strict, evenly spaced deadlines throughout the entire semester with severe grade penalties if you miss them.
And you'd think they all want flexibility.
Right, but 68% of these brilliant students voluntarily chose the strict deadlines with the severe penalties.
Because if you give a college student 3 months to write a paper, they're going to play video games for 2 months and 29 days.
Exactly. They recognized their own tendency to procrastinate. They used a commitment device to force their own hands and distribute the workload.
Smart kids.
Okay, so let's take stock of our architecture here. We have used fresh starts to build flexible habits. We have bundled our temptations to overcome present bias. And we have used commitment devices to lock in our success when willpower fails.
We have a solid plan.
But there's a massive trapdoor in all of this. All of this brilliant behavioral architecture completely collapses if we simply forget to execute the plan in the moment.
Ah, yes. You were talking about the flake-out factor.
Yes. The sheer mundane reality of forgetting.
It is a massive obstacle. The Hermann Ebbinghaus forgetting curve is brutal. Research shows that human beings lose up to 70% of new information within just 24 hours.
70%. Why is our memory so terrible?
Well, it is actually an evolutionary feature, not a bug.
Wait, really?
Yeah. Your brain is a ruthlessly efficient calorie-saving machine. If a piece of data isn't immediately actionable or tied to survival, the brain purges it to reduce cognitive load, which means standard reminders like a ping on your phone are incredibly fragile.
Oh, the Hotel Valet seatbelt study illustrates this perfectly. Researchers wanted to see if a simple verbal reminder would get people to buckle their seatbelts more often. When the valet reminded drivers to buckle up right at the exact moment they handed over the ticket, which meant there was about a 5-minute wait before the car actually arrived, the reminder had absolutely zero effect. Nothing.
Because 5 minutes is an eternity to the human brain when it is navigating a transition.
Interesting.
When you are waiting for a car, your brain shifts out of execution mode and into waiting mode. It completely overwrites that short-term memory of the seatbelt instruction. A reminder has to be absolutely immediate to be effective.
I always think of a good reminder not as an alarm, but as a physical tripwire.
A tripwire.
Yeah, it shouldn't just be a notification on your screen that you can blindly swipe away. It needs to be a physical object obstructing your natural path right at the exact moment of action.
Which leads us directly to the concept of cue-based planning. Milkman shares a brilliant study conducted at a cafe in Harvard Square.
Oh, the alien one.
Yes. Researchers were handing out discount coupons to customers. When they simply told people, remember to use this at the cash register, it barely moved the needle.
Because it's too normal.
Right. But then they changed the environment. They placed a highly unusual object, a toy stuffed alien, sitting right next to the cash register.
Just a random alien.
Exactly. They told the customers, when you see the alien, use your coupon. Coupon redemption increased by 36%.
Because it is weird. It completely breaks the visual pattern of a normal coffee shop. Your brain is forced to process the alien, which instantly triggers the memory of the coupon.
Exactly.
So the practical application for everyone listening, if you want to beat the flake-out factor, you have to tie your new habit to a highly distinctive, unusual visual cue in your physical environment.
Be weird with it.
Right. Don't just tell yourself, I will take my vitamins tomorrow morning. Take the vitamin bottle and put it inside your favorite coffee mug the night before. You cannot make coffee without physically dealing with the vitamins.
You are creating a structural tripwire. Now, we have assembled this incredible toolkit from Katy Milkman's research. We have flexible habits, temptation bundling, commitment devices, and distinctive visual cues.
It's a great list.
But this raises the most important question of the entire discussion, perhaps the ultimate question for anyone on a self-improvement journey. How long do we have to use these hacks? When are we finally cured of our bad habits and able to just live normally?
Oh man, this is the part of the research where the truth hurts a little bit.
It does.
We have to look at the massive 24-hour fitness study. Researchers applied all of these brilliant behavioral hacks, reminders, incentives, flexibility to get thousands of people exercising.
And in the short term, it was a massive success. Attendance skyrocketed.
But the sobering truth is that once the experimental program ended, once that external scaffolding and those incentives were removed, almost none of the behaviors stuck long term. People slowly reverted right back to their old, lazy ways.
It forces a massive fundamental paradigm shift in how we view the entire concept of self-improvement. Katy Milkman shares a defining analogy from medical doctor Kevin Volpe that perfectly encapsulates the reality of human behavior.
What did he say?
He said, when we diagnose someone with diabetes, we don't put them on insulin for a month, take them off of it, and expect them to be cured.
Wow. Okay, let's just let that sink in for a second. That changes everything about how we view our own failures. Our human flaws, our laziness, our impulsivity, our constant forgetfulness, they're not temporary rashes that we can just put some behavioral ointment on for 30 days and cure forever. They are chronic conditions of the human experience.
Exactly. We have to treat behavior change as a lifelong management process. You are never done.
Right.
You are going to be continually recalibrating your strategies, bundling new temptations as old ones get boring, and setting up new physical tripwires for the rest of your life.
It sounds incredibly daunting at first, but once you accept it, it is actually incredibly freeing.
Very freeing.
It removes all the shame. It means you aren't a moral failure when habit slips after 6 months. Your brain is just doing what brains do. You just need to adjust your prescription. You need to implement a new commitment device or engineer a new fresh start. You aren't failing. You are just managing the human condition.
The maintenance is the success.
The maintenance is the success. I love that. That brings me to a final provocative thought for everyone listening today to just mull over.
Let's hear it.
We have spent all this time talking about how to trick ourselves into doing hard work. But if our brains are biologically hardwired by millions of years of evolution to always take the path of least resistance, perhaps the ultimate life hack isn't constantly fighting our lazy nature. Perhaps it is completely surrendering to it.
Oh, interesting.
Right. What would your physical environment look like tomorrow if you designed it specifically so that the absolute laziest choice you could make and the absolute best choice you could make were the exact same thing?
Now that is a deep dive worth taking on your own.
If you enjoyed this episode, please like and subscribe.